Yeah, super. Let's go.
Enjoy. Good luck.
Thank you.
Hello and welcome to our Medica 2020 webinar series here. Germany's medical device market and how to commercialize innovative medical devices in Germany. This is our topic today at 2 o'clock for 30 minutes. My name is Gabriel Flemming. I'm a medical device expert at Germany Trade and Invest, and I'll be the host of this session here. We'll also have Mr. Duncan Cunningham join in and share some of his experience. He's with the Insides company from New Zealand, and he will fortunately be able to give us a real-time experience report of their ongoing medical device market access project here in Germany. So Germany Trade and Invest is the federal economic development agency of Germany. We have two major sections. One is trade, which is dedicated to support German companies access international markets. And then there's the invest side, which I'm part of as well, which is dedicated to supporting international companies setting up their business in Germany. Our services for international companies are free of charge and of course include the most important services you could ask for: market insight, market access analyses. This would include CE marking information, reimbursement information. And then we have in-house legal support desk, which would cover topics like how to set up a legal entity in Germany, to devise work contracts, etc., etc. We will cover funding and financing information, including to navigate you through the various tools of investment incentives that the German government provides to welcome companies from international places, also to roll out the red carpet. And last but not least, of course, we will help to find partners for R&D and manufacturing. And finally, support your site selection process. Where is the best place for you in Germany? This is one of our core competencies to support. So let's get to the beef and start out with just a little bit market insight. Germany, fortunately, offers the largest market for healthcare in Europe. Last year, total expenditure on healthcare reached 400 billion euros. So this puts us in the first place across the European continent. There is some 80 million people living in Germany, and practically all of them have health insurance. There's 2,000 hospitals just about, and over 7.5 million people employed in the healthcare sector. When we take a more specific look at the medtech sector, again, we're tops when it comes to spending. Total spending in Germany on medical technology reached 36 billion euros last year. There are some 1,300 plus manufacturers headquartered here in Germany, and they're all contributing and benefiting actually from good quality image of made in Germany. And actually 2/3 of their revenue on average comes from exports. So this is a very important internationalized business. Regarding R&D innovation activity, we're tops looking at the European Patent Office in 2018, leading medical device patent applications with a number of 1,336. And interestingly, at the same time, we are a huge importer. Imports reached 17 billion euros worth of medical devices last year. And of course, keep in mind that all of these products need to be CE certified before they can be sold and used over here. Take a look at the market segments. You may be surprised that in Germany, consumables actually represents the largest market segment with 21%. Actually, this is not so surprising when you compare it to the high import number. Usually, most consumables would be manufactured outside of Germany, which is considered more of a high quality and high tech manufacturing location. The next bracket would be diagnostic imaging. Not so surprising, it's a high price segment, followed by supporting devices, as they're called here. This is about implants, hearing aids, emergency equipment in ICUs. And this, of course, then is followed by a very large bracket, again, orthopedics and prosthetics. And keep in mind that dental industry is huge in Germany as well. It's the 5th largest segment here on this list, which leads me just to refer to some larger diagnostic imaging equipment, because this is a high price, high revenue, number 2 segment here in Germany. There's 12,000 large medical apparatus in those about 2,000 hospitals, 6,000 dialysers throughout the country, 1,500 MRI devices. Actually, you may know that Germany is Europe's master of MRI MRI processes. We've been leading those MRI for about the last 10 years. And then there's about 1,000 coronary angiographs throughout the hospital system. When looking at the geography of medical technology in Germany, we have set up a nice map here, which should give a good overview. The blue bubbles here would represent production clusters, which have evolved in Germany over the last century. There would be maybe 4 or 5 major production clusters starting out here in the north with Hamburg and the Lübeck area. Then in the east, Berlin. In the west, it would be around Düsseldorf region. And in the southwest, around Tuttlingen. There's also white bubbles here. This would be the innovation cluster system, which has been put in place by the federal and local governments. There are management teams to support collaboration in R&D related projects, to support education initiatives for employees, etc. And main thing is to bring together cross-sectoral players from industry, from the hospital sector, from university and institutions, research institutions. You're very much welcome to let me know if you're interested. Some of the participants here today, I'll be happy to make personal introductions for you, as certainly those innovation clusters are looking forward to have international players join up in their membership as well. So when talking about market access of innovative medical devices in Germany, how to access the market? This is the big question. And well, put it frankly, you will have to follow many rules. And actually those rules and regulations are changing. So for example, if it wasn't for COVID-19, we would have European Medical Device Regulation, MDR, governing CE system already up and running here in the whole of Europe. As it is, this MDR, new MDR, will only replace the old MDD in May next year, which leaves you some time yet to certify your product under MDD, which does have some benefits to it, as MDR is certainly a more scrutinous regulatory framework, as the legislators have taken a more safety-oriented stance. For example, many Class 2B medical devices and high-risk Class 3 products will have to be certified by providing individual clinical trial data. It will not be possible to compared to literature for equivalence in clinical trials. Notified bodies are ready. They have been, the major notified bodies have been recertified to certify medical devices under the new MDR. On the other hand, the new mandatory device database has been postponed until May 2022, UDAMED, and this should also ease up a little bit on the administrative pressure on medical device innovators, I hope. From the reimbursement side, there are some very good things about Germany. Some things are new, some things have been that way for a long time. For example, in the inpatient sector, innovative medical devices can automatically be reimbursed based on older routine DRG budgets without having to undergo an HTA, health technology assessment scrutiny procedure. This is very special and innovation friendly in Germany. This HTA will only become the case if it's about increasing those existing routine DRG budgets. In the outpatient sector, it's a slightly or quite different picture actually, because here all innovative devices must actually undergo federal level scrutiny procedure, which many call health technology assessment. Fortunately, good news, as of summer this year, the German government has introduced a new early reimbursement coverage by evidence track, which allows for early reimbursement while clinical trials are still ongoing. This should really increase and accelerate innovation to reach bedside. In case you have individual health insurance companies interested in your device, you may also negotiate individual contracts with them, which also enables you to go around and avoid federal level health technology assessment for general reimbursement. When you look at the fact that the largest health insurance company of Germany, the TKK, has more than 20 million patients insured, that would show that such a selective contract can be very worthwhile too. In summary, medical device innovators are facing more pressure to provide individual clinical data regarding their medical device. MDR is forcing actually most class 2B active implants actually, and practically all class 3 medical devices to provide individual clinical data. As I said before, it will not be possible, or the option to and likelihood to be able to point out equivalence via literature is very slim in the future. It may also be the case that German reimbursement system will call for individual clinical trials. This is also why it has become common in Germany to design your CE validation clinical trial in a way that it can be used for reimbursement purposes as well. So make sure those endpoints are really strategically chosen in a very effective way, right? And from reimbursement side, when it's about the scope of clinical trials, we have to see that when an innovative device is based on a new scientific concept, then there will always be the need for health technology assessment scrutiny procedure, and this will require random controlled trials. However, I would like to make the point here that Germany does not have a full-fledged health technology assessment system put in place. Over here, we are still focusing on patient outcome and patient benefit, and to a lesser degree on the economical side. It sounds a little bit unbelievable, but it is the case. Especially when you look at the UK, where it's the opposite side. They're very focused on economical side within the QALY system, which is certainly not the case here in Germany, which poses some benefits to those innovators. Let me finish my presentation before I get over to Duncan and ask him to provide firsthand experience. A report. This slide is about another initiative of the German federal government, which tries to enable and ease innovation to take place and to commercialize innovation in medical device innovation in Germany by actually making cash grants available for those medical device innovators who want to commercialize their class 2 and 3 products. This is a system governed by VDI Technologiezentrum. We actually had one of their project managers present at last year's Medica at our pavilion. And according to her, there is substantial grants available to basically support in 2 modules. What first is to prepare and to build up the capacity to deal with MDR. So for example, there's training measures would be reimbursed by the government. Also salary of a regulatory officer. This can be funded by cash grants by the government. And the second module is about running clinical trials per se. You may be receiving cash grants for working with a CRO, and those expenses can be reimbursed to a percentage. And we're talking about significant funds here. This could be 1 or even 2 million euros. And I'll be very happy to connect you to this institution and to check whether you may be a candidate for this funding tool. So this is my credentials. My name is Gabriel Flemming. You're welcome to reach out, send me an email anytime. Also here we'll have Q&A following Duncan's presentation. And I would like to invite you to use the Q&A window to write us questions, and we can have a short discussion afterwards. So now let's have Duncan to present on their ongoing business development in Germany. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Gabriel. I'll just pull up my screen. Hopefully you all will be able to see that now. So firstly, thank you very much, Gabriel, for inviting me to speak here. And it's been a pleasure working with GTAI so far. As Gabriel mentioned, I'm the UK EU business developer for a small medtech company called the Insides Company. We're based way down in New Zealand, and we've been spun out of the University of Auckland's Department of Surgery back in 2017. Our key goal was to focus on providing technology for patients in the colorectal space to improve their outcomes and significantly improve their quality of life, which can be significantly impacted. You might be able to see here the little short clip we've got going. This is our flagship product known as the Insides system, which helps patients with a process called chyme reinfusion, where we are essentially refeeding the output of a stoma back into the body. So you're linking up the entire intestine again. So we're founded with a couple of Kiwis and colorectal surgeons, and we recently brought on a highly experienced CEO in the middle of last year, which is when we really started to begin our commercial journey. In late 2019, we received something called the FDA Breakthrough Device Designation. And this is a designation that highlights the unmet need that our product is addressing, determined by the FDA in the United States. Essentially what this breakthrough designation does is allows us to have a bit of a more responsive engagement with the FDA, trying to get into the United States, but it also really validates our exciting new market that we're trying to tap into. So despite having something like this, there are still significant advantages and disadvantages to having such breakthrough technology that I'll try and touch on throughout this conversation. So our entry into Germany so far, without CE approval, it made it slightly more difficult to engage with clinicians throughout Europe. So we really just tried to do our homework and identify key hospitals, key KOLs, who we could try and engage with, particularly in the intestinal failure units for us. One really useful site I found that GTAI showed me was, forgive my accent, but the Weiss-List database. So essentially what you have here is you can find hospitals that perform the most procedures you're looking for, if you know the procedure codes that they do. So that was really helpful in narrowing down which hospitals we should engage with in Germany. So it was really important for us to try and get an understanding of the care pathway in Germany as well. We know how patients are going to be taken through the healthcare system in the UK, but it might be different in Germany. So this is something we really needed to try and work on. We needed to know who was going to be involved in the processes for us, stoma nurses, gastroenterologists, but then we also needed to know how the financials were going to flow through as well. Our product has an inpatient and an outpatient component, so there's multiple considerations that we needed to think of. And it's good to know these things before you start to engage with sites as well. We got really lucky when a clinician from Charité in Berlin reached out to us to help with the patient in a critical condition. I flew over to meet her from the UK, and the clinician was motivated enough for us to use our product and put it through an ethics process in the hospital. They needed to do this because up till this point we still hadn't had CE marking. So to help with the adoption, we gave it away for free. And having that one site, particularly one as well known as Charité, it really provided that first entry point into Germany for us and helped facilitate further conversations with other clinicians and speaking to GTAI and our own New Zealand government, NZTE, who helped with commercialization. So we met GTAI last year at Medica this time, and they've been fantastic so far at providing introductions to KOLs and hospitals for us. Gabriel's introduced me to a couple of German healthcare clusters such as Invest in Bavaria and others, and has also helped identify similar companies from New Zealand that we could engage with and try and get their knowledge on how they've broken into Germany as well. So that's been incredibly helpful. So while all this was going on, behind the scenes, we worked really hard to capitalize on the MDD legislation for CE marking that Gabriel touched on as well. So we fortunately got our CE marking under this MDD protocol in February last year as a Class 2B medical device. And after this really helped us start to begin our commercialization process in Germany and Europe. So following the CE approval, we had our initial safety and efficacy studies published in the British Journal of Surgery. Publication in here really added some weight and trust to our product, and it's been an invaluable marketing tool so far, presented to a lot of clinicians in Germany so far. This feasibility data wasn't enough, so we've needed to develop a stronger clinical data with to help with adoption. So we've been working on a randomized controlled trial to help with this and development of a registry to record this data. We've continued to engage with this contact at Charité, and they've been kindly providing introductions elsewhere as well. So referrals have been incredibly valuable in gaining that trust with other sites, including Bonn and working on Frankfurt as well. So they're going to hopefully be involved with our study, and there's been lots of work that's needed to be done so far with them. They've been helping with doing the ethics involved with the study, finding average costs that are going to be needed for each site, for each patient. So it really helps to engage with these clinicians as soon as possible. One of the bigger things we've done as well since CE marking is hire reimbursement consultants. One suggested by GTAI is AIM, A-I-M-E, A-I-M, and they have been really fantastic, really knowledgeable group of consultants. So what they've been doing for us is investigating the GDRG codes in Germany and other procedure codes to help with this strategy. Luckily, we engaged with them early enough and just in time to submit something called an NUB application. Notably, this NUB application, it's an innovation payment scheme that allows you to add on an extra payment to the existing DRG codes in the inpatient or in the hospital setting. So by doing this, we'll be able to sell a device and be easier to move through the hospital financial system. Notably, that this date is on October 31st is when submissions have to be in, but we also found out that hospitals have their own internal deadline as well. So latest you'd want to be looking at is October 1st, I'd say, to try and apply for that. Do note as well, though, that it's also for each hospital has to apply for it. It's not a national coverage. So try and build up as many sites that you can speak to as you can and help with them that application before that date.
Super, thank you, Duncan. Just on a side note, we're approaching the last couple of minutes.
Yeah.
Session.
Sure
So
thing.
far, excellent. Thank you for your presentation.
No worries.
Maybe your last slide.
Yeah. So all it is now is looking forward for the rest of 20 and 21. We'll finish off our RCT trial and develop better data to engage with our clinicians that we've spoken to. We'll also be using GTAI to find a distributor and a country manager to help manage access into the country so far. And that's basically what our goal is going to be for 2021-22. So all in all, it's been great working with GTAI so far, and I would highly recommend engaging with them as soon as possible.
Yeah, super. Thank you so much, Duncan. Great testimonial on your side, and same here. Very happy to have been working with you. Actually, as you said, we've only known each other for 1 year. It was great to see the Insights company make so many further steps in Germany, and we'll certainly be there to support you setting up a subsidiary here eventually. Now, maybe just to tackle a couple of questions that we've received here. The first one is, what about your experience in software? There's a second part to this question. For IVD medical device in regulation EU 2017. So what I could say here is that standalone software under MDR is considered as a 2A at least. Maybe this answers your question. I'll be happy to follow up via email. Then the other one here is, how is the early reimbursement mechanism called? Right, this would be it's a section in this German social code book, 137E. I'll be happy to follow up and explain. And then the last question I can see is the grant available for class 2A? I believe I will have to say, sorry, I don't think so. This is for 2B and 3 only, but certainly I will double check and we can follow up. Duncan, would you have any further closing remarks?
No closing remarks, just only thing maybe is just engage with GTAI and German clinicians as soon as possible. The earlier the better.
Super. I think your case was a very classic one. You saw MDR coming up. You were able to certify under MDD.
Yeah.
You are in touch with key opinion leaders in Germany, running RCT to prove patient benefit.
Yes.
And you're actually heading for increased reimbursement. This is what you referred to with the NUB track, and which I refer to as getting into the health technology assessment track. So all the best, and you participants, look forward to hearing from you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.